I'm Anthony Wright, and I'm your host today on The Living Conversation. And today we have guests from the Sonoma State University Philosophy Club with President Colette and the members Haley and Andrew, and we may have some other members that will be joining us later. But welcome, you guys. It's wonderful that you're here, and I'm here with my co-host,
Yeah, Adam Dietz. Welcome,
Adam
everyone.
Dietz. And so one of the things that we have been interested in getting to know more about is, because Adam and I had talked about Chinese philosophy and what seems to be going on in the world right now. But what's on your mind, you guys? Are there some questions you have about what's going on in the world today, or things about Western philosophy or Eastern philosophy? Adam knows a bit more about Western philosophy than I do, but is there anything that's on your mind?
Well, our last meeting was just the other day on Friday, and we discussed the philosophy of emotion and how our emotions affect the world and our lived experiences. And we went into a lot of different details with it, but um, there's a lot of new emotions rising from the increased technology, TikTok, Instagram, all that. Um, different different ways that people are affected by that. So yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about.
Well, and how do you, because that's one of the things that I really noticed was the emotional affect of people after COVID. And
Mhm.
it really seemed to kind of be down, and more people are feeling alone and feeling emotionally uh, less than positive from social media use. Would you say that's true?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. After COVID, everyone was pretty separated,
Yeah.
and social media just continued to separate people from one another, creating almost this um, self-centered point of view for people. As you become detached, then like the whole self-love movement we had talked about, um, taking care of yourself is very
Right.
important, but like it can lead to narcissistic behavior where you really think you are the most important when that's not always true. So yeah.
Well, but also, do you guys find it is kind of assisting you to kind of get out of your phones when you come together in the club?
You guys
Like,
can also talk. I
no, yeah.
Oh,
And
when
this
we
is
come,
Andrew, and this is Haley. But go ahead, Haley.
oh, I know, like when we join for club, personally, like I'm usually off my phone for, I'd say a good percentage of it. I mean, we all have the habit of kind of checking your phone, also just, having to, if you're letting people know where you are,
Right.
etc. But
Yeah.
I've noticed in our last few meetings, I don't find myself on my phone. I find myself
Good.
engaged because we're actually having deep conversations as opposed to maybe your, run-of-the-mill conversations you might have with your friends where you're just kind of checking in on each other, which is like really casual.
Oh,
But since we're engaging on this like deeper level conversation, it's more engaging. So I'm not gonna want to like I tend to check my phone when I'm bored. And
yeah.
I don't get as bored when I'm actually
Good.
engaging in deeper conversations that are making you think. So I think the philosophy club is definitely a great way to kind of have that like technological break. And also kind of speaking to what Colette was saying, I think there is such this desire need to post on social media because you see everyone doing it, so you
Right.
think you should, that every moment becomes a how is this going to look on social media,
Really?
or how could it be, how could it look, how could I frame this rather
Wow.
than enjoying it. And I mean, I try to stay away from that. I'm not as active as on social media as I think a lot of my counterparts.
Right.
Um, but there still can be a perception of like, am I enjoying this? Am I living in the moment, or am I taking pictures and posting? And is that taking me out of the moment?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Personally, so part of it's,
a little bit of an age gap thing. Some of it's a personality. So I just turned 25. So like I still kind of remember a time before the internet being as ubiquitous as it is. I was born
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
So I've never really been on social media in the sense that like I use YouTube, but like I don't use it to follow personalities. I've never followed the whole celebrity sphere. Um, I've only made a snapshot and a TikTok because some people wanted to send me some things, and like I checked it like a couple of times ever. So I'm not, I haven't been that whole thing of like I need to like share stuff. I need to send stuff. Um, as far as like our meetings go, like I've only been on my phone to like if somebody directly messaged me, and
Right.
I actually
Right.
don't think that happened during meetings, but also just like show stuff. Like when we were talking about emotions, like I showed you the pictures of I played this game Tiny Glade, which you just build cute little villages, and it's like a perfect thing to just like calm my brain down before bed. Like I
Oh,
don't know, like
cool.
that's about it that I've used my phone for.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and your thoughts, Adam?
It's very interesting. I'm really glad you guys are doing that work. The first thing that comes to mind when you were speaking about emotion, I don't know if you've come across this or not. Didn't have the pleasure to have you in my classes, but one thing that we focused on there was that the whole point of philosophy, and especially Eastern philosophy, is that you cultivate yourself and you understand your mind and you understand yourself at its highest level. So when you understand your mind and yourself at its highest level, you give yourself lots of space to be able to process emotions and see them at their highest level. So when you understand your true self, then you actually, we talk about often in living conversation, you have a whole universe of time and space in your own mind. So these complex emotions can come across and you can see them without feeling very attached to them. You can, if you see the emotion of sadness come by, you can feel very comfortable, say, oh, okay, should I be sad? Is this appropriate? And you could, excuse me, you could either watch it pass by and not worry about it, or if it say, okay, I should really feel sad, I'll lean into this, I'll cry, I'll mourn, and then you feel like you really lived it, right? But when you're seeing an emotion pass by and you let it take over you, right? And you don't have any space or time or mental awareness or mindfulness as the emotion is coming, then you can get dragged into all sorts of things you didn't even choose to get dragged into.
Hmm.
So talking about Daoist perspective, Zen Buddhist perspective, then you cultivate your mind, you understand your deepest self to allow things like emotion to pass by. So that was very interesting to me. And I have more thoughts, but I don't want to bogart the whole conversation. Do you guys touch on anything like that when you're discussing?
We did not really talk about that type of thing this time, but definitely last year when we had a similar conversation, I brought up the whole theory of like you should be attuned with your own emotions before engaging in relationships with other people, but be that friendships, romantic relationships, anything pretty much, because it's not really going to be very successful. You might run it into the ground if you're not very sound yourself. Once you can figure out how to best cultivate and manage your own emotions, then you'll be able to work well with other people, and then you won't rely on them for as many things.
Yeah,
Um,
very good.
yeah, just that whole kind of deal.
That's
Have
very good. Yeah.
have you
That
guys?
reminds me when
Go ahead.
you so in Confucian philosophy, when you cultivate this mind, it's actually your humanity. But your humanity is your highest self. Your humanity from Confucian perspective is from heaven, has all time and space. The whole entire cosmos come into yourself as a human being, is your humanity. So when you have this humanity, you can understand yourself, then you can be loyal to your highest self. You understand your deepest self. You understand your original self, your heavenly self from all time and space. Then you can deeply empathize with other people. So when you're describing, it feels like, okay, I should really focus on myself, become my best self. Then I could be my best self for other people. I could understand their best self too.
And does that makes space for other people's best self
Mhm.
by doing that? And I
Definitely.
guess one of the things that I had learned in with Zen Buddhism in sitting zazen is in the meditative state just to kind of watch stuff go by. Oh, there's an emotion. Oh, And I often wondered, sometimes, or wait, and a thought would come into my head or an emotion. And I said, well, whose emotions are those? Are they mine? Uh, and it's part of the idea of cultivating a bit more choice, I guess I would say. Does that make sense,
That's a good
Adam
way
and
of saying it.
Colette? And yeah, so that if we can choose, then we're not grabbed by them. And I think that's one of the things that's happening pretty prevalently in our social fabric right now about this idea about um, uh, I know Colette, you may remember this example that I offered in my classes with you guys, where I would hand somebody a cup, right, or hand somebody something, and people reach out to grab it, and I said, "Well, wait, do you know what's in there? Right? How do you don't know what's in there because people were, on your phone, you're getting handed stuff all the time, and people naturally reach to take something that's being handed to them. And you don't know what's in there. There might be some hooks in there. And part of it is that I've been seeing is a lot of people are being offered fear. Don't you want to be afraid so you can belong with us? And I'm thinking to myself, geez, I think I'm going to maybe take a pass on that one because with some of these limbic emotions like fear and loneliness, and they've shut down the cognitive faculty, so you can't think. If you're afraid, it's fight or flight, right? But if I go, oh, I think I'm just going to let that one go by. What an interesting thing that was being offered, and why would they want me to be afraid? And are they feeling sort of insecure if they're trying to be arrogant or try to be in control or something like that? Yes, Colette.
I think the most useful thing that you taught me when I was in your class was the grounding story with the tree.
Oh,
You root yourself to the ground and then put it below. Like, oh, that was just wonderful. I use that all the time.
oh, I'm so delighted. Have you been teaching other people? I hope.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Anthony, can you introduce our listener to that concept?
Yeah, it's one of the first things that I get people involved with is there's two different kinds of grounding. Because a lot of times when we're not grounded, we are subject to that illusion that we're this independent body, and then it just, an emotion will come through, or you go into a room that's really highly charged, and whoa, I can't handle it. Um, but what I'm going to do is I'll go into those exercises in just a moment because we're coming up on a break here. I'm Anthony Wright, and I am your co-host today with
Adam Dietz.
and we're here on the Living Conversation and with the president of the Sonoma State University Philosophy Club and members Haley and Andrew. And Colette, how can people contact the Philosophy Club if they're interested in being in touch with you guys?
The easiest way is through Instagram. So it's just at SSU Philosophy Club. Please check us out.
Cool. And Adam?
I follow you guys, by the way.
That's awesome.
So you can actually find me on Instagram at the way between, but mostly I'm trying to funnel all my work through Substack, the way between at substack.com. All my links are on there, and you can reach out to me at dietzadam@gmail as well.
And that's DEITZ?
DIETZ.
DIET. I keep making that mistake. I'm sorry, man. And then
good.
my website is theonaut, THEONAUT.com. So we're going to take a short break and be right back. So stay tuned.